Hi guys, it's Pretzl Cosplay here. Some time ago I asked you for some questions and I was quite surprised by the amount of questions I got. You want to know a lot. In this video I'll try my best to answer all the questions as good as I can. So enjoy watching! First question is, what's the very first costume you ever made? My first cosplay was in 2012 and it was inspired by Anne Boleyn, one of the 6 wives of Henry VIII from England. And I really loved that style of dresses, so I really wanted to make one. What was your first convention? The first convention I went to was not really a convention but a fantasy fair. It was the first fantasy fair in the Netherlands in 2002. I actually still love it. I go there every year. My first anime convention was in 2014 and it was AnimeCon. It was a little bit scary for me because I didn't have the slightest clue of what was going on. And the only anime I knew was Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z and yeah, those two. What made you want to start cosplaying? I always loved to watch fantasy movies and play role-playing games. And I really loved the characters and the costumes they wore. I thought it would be so awesome if I could actually wear those costumes. How did you get such awesome skills with Worbla and stuff, and how did you learn all those techniques? I happen to have a degree in Google Fu. That means I did a lot of researching about things I wanted to make. And back in the days when I started, there was no internet. So we had a television, of course, and when I saw something I liked, I had to pause the TV, draw it on paper, and then keep it for reference. But when the internet got available to households, I really started to search a lot and look at a lot of photos about how scenes were made, how things were put together. I'm still not done researching. I practice my Google Fu a lot. What are your sources of inspiration? Well, nowadays it's rather easy to find information on the internet about how to make stuff. Everything has been done already and people are just happy to put tutorials all over the interwebs and help each other. This wasn't the case back in the days when people wanted to keep their methods secret and social media didn't even exist. So it definitely became easier to learn crafting techniques. Also, YouTube is a really good source for tutorials. If you want to make something, just type it into Google and you will get 10 hits or something, if not more. It's also a really good idea to follow cosplayers you like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, because they will often share tips and tricks and tutorials, which can be really helpful. Who is your biggest inspiration for cosplay? Well, there are some cosplayers out there who really inspire me. They all have their own strengths and techniques they use, which I can learn from. For example, there is Kamui Cosplay from Germany. I really love her Worbla work and she also was the inspiration for me to actually start working with Worbla. And there's also Kenpatsu Cosplay from South Africa. She makes awesome foam work, so complete costumes out of Eva foam. That's something I also want to master. Do other cosplayers ask you for advice? Yes, they do. And if I know the answer, I will definitely try to help them. But I often get asked the same questions. So I had an idea, why not write a book about it? And guess what? I did. I actually wrote a book about something that's my passion. And it is about making details on your armor with different kind of thermoplastics. And it has a lot of tips and tricks and photos and tutorials and guides in it. You can actually buy it in my online store. There is a physical copy which will come signed, of course, and there's an ebook, so it's for everyone. What has been your most challenging costume and why? That must have been my Evil Queen from Snow White and the Huntsman I made back in 2013. I didn't know Worbla then. I needed a way to make the crown, so I actually made it out of cardboard. So it was not really waterproof, but the crown is still alive, so it was sturdy enough. Also, the other things about the dress were a lot of work. I wanted it to be really on point. So I was searching for trinkets and I adjusted them myself because they were just not really right. And I had to hand sew a lot because there were a lot of beads and ornaments on the dress. What costume are you most proud of and why? That's a really hard question because every costume has its own history, its own stories and memories and things I learned when making it. So I don't have a favorite costume. What are your strong and weak points while making costumes? I think my strong point is making details. That's something I really like. My weak point would be my patience and my lack of patience, because when I want to make a costume, I get excited really easy and I just want to work on it and rush and rush and rush and never stop. But sometimes you just have to rest. When did you start using Worbla and did you like it right away? I started using Worbla in 2014 and I got really inspired by the books of Kamui. That's also the reason why I started with Worbla. First thing I made was my armor for my Princess Cadance cosplay. It was not so hard for me to work with Worbla. I think it's because I have a long history of crafting, so it felt really intuitive to work with, and I really, really loved the material. Thank God there's Worbla. What is the most expensive thing you bought for cosplay? Worbla. It's definitely Worbla. It's an expensive material, but it's also really, really great. It is definitely worth every penny. What's the best way to make resin gems? Because I always see that yours turned out to be so pretty. Oh, thank you. It's nice to hear that you like that. I also really, really, really love shimmery and glimmery things, so I like to make gems. I make them with liquid resin, and I also explain how to do this in my book. So check it out. Check it out. How do you make your corsets? I can't answer that in this video. It is just really difficult. I have been researching years and years on how to make corsets and trying to replicate them. That is how I mastered making corsets. It really took me years to achieve this skill. So it's impossible for me to describe it in a video. If you had kids, would you cosplay with them? Definitely yes. I would surely drag them to Comic Cons because they would love it all. There's so much to see there for kids. You seem to be busy with your hobby every day. How do you keep up with that? Where do you get that amount of motivation from? I'm very, very passionate about this. Creating things has always been the thing I love. It's just a love for what I do that keeps me going. What made you start making hats and other things and starting your own business? The hats actually started when I was in university. I made hats inspired by animals like frogs and cats and giraffes because I wanted to stand out in the crowds and I needed a warm hat. So it was practical. But my business was only since 2014 when I decided to stop my job, which was as a landscape architect, and I took the step to actually turn my hobby into my work. So now I'm creating things and selling them to people who love them, and it's just awesome. I'm so happy. On which events can we find you to buy more of your beautiful handmade stuff? I will attend a lot of conventions in the Netherlands, Germany and Belgium. If you want to try out my stuff or just take a selfie or chat about cosplay, then you're free to come to my booth. I will have a booth at several conventions. Just to name a few, Brussels Comic Con, Dutch Comic Con, Roleplay Convention, Comic Con Amsterdam, German Comic Con. I will also visit some conventions as a visitor. Elfia, Dokumi, AnimeCon, Gamescom, and probably more. I guess that's a full schedule. What con outside of Europe would you most gladly go to? Doesn't have to be outside of Europe. There are also some cons in Europe that I would love to go to, such as the London Comic Con, Japan Expo in Paris, Konichi in Germany, HobbitCon, Leipziger Buchmesse. I would also love to go to some cons in America, which is Katsucon, San Diego Comic Con, New York Comic Con, BlizzCon, probably a lot of more, because the USA has so many conventions. But that's just too far away. It's really on the other side of the world. What's the possibility of you coming to a convention in California? I would absolutely love to, but I think I can't come because it's just too far away, unless a convention would invite me as a guest. If you want to meet me at a con near you, just spam the convention's organization with your request to invite me as a guest. And if they decide to do that, then I might actually come and we could chat together and take pictures and, you know, and maybe I could also host a panel or a lecture about crafting and Wobbla and just have fun. If you see me at a con, please don't be afraid to say something, because I love to meet people and I just love to take pictures. So please don't be afraid. I don't bite most of the time. Who is your favorite Disney character? I don't really have a favorite character, but there are definitely some Disney movies that I really like, which is Merlin the Wizard, the Aristocats, and Robin Hood. I watched those movies over and over when I was a kid. They still really amuse me. Team Edward or Team Jacob? I know the girl who asked this question and I know she's Team Edward, but I'm Team Jacob. And that's basically because in the first movie, Jacob had this long hair and he rode a motorcycle and he reminded me really much of my own boyfriend. So I'm Team Jacob. Who is your favorite My Little Pony character? That would be Princess Cadance and Fluttershy. Princess Cadance is just such a lovely and heartwarming character that you just gotta love. Fluttershy, she loves nature as much as I do, so I can really relate to her. Do you play Pokemon? I used to play the red edition, and after that the yellow version was when we still had Game Boy, you know. Now I sometimes play Pokemon Emerald on my phone. Times have changed. Alright, those were the questions. Oh my god, so many! If you managed to watch all the way through this video, I can only say, wow, oh my god, wow. Because it was a long video. Thanks for staying with me. When I read all those questions, there were words popping up like amazing skills, and beautiful work, and awesome costumes. And I'm really touched that you think that. It means the world to me that you actually like my work and want to support me. And your support and comments and likes, it is empowering and it keeps me going. It makes me stay making costumes and doing this crafty stuff. On my turn, I will try to keep inspiring you and post progress pictures and tutorials. So I hope you will enjoy my work. Don't forget to stay up to date by giving my Facebook page a like. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.